All right, welcome back to another episode here on the Lure Lab, episode 93, and a part of the Serious Angler Network. As always, I'm your host, the captain, Andrew Full, and today we got a cool one. Jake Maddux is coming back to join us from the National Professional Fishing League, and we're going to be talking about a new spoon that is hitting the market here, and it's the Jackall counterback spoon, and I'm curious to hear all about it. I believe it was just released at ICAST, and Jake has all the inside scoop. He's been catching some fish on it already here. So without further ado, we should get Jake on here to talk about this awesome new spoon that is hitting the market. Hey, Jake, what's going on, man?
Hey, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. You're always welcome here. You have a seat at the table. Just a quick recap. Like, how's the season going for you down there in the NPFL?
It's been good so far. Got 2 checks at the first two events, and then the third one had a bad second day. Had a good first and third day, but kind of a tough second day. So fell a little bit in the point standing, but I'm still in line to make the championship. So looking to get a couple more points here next couple weeks at Saginaw Bay. So
Coming up to North Country. That's exciting.
Yep, that's right.
I completely forgot about that they were coming back up to Saginaw Bay this year. Where's the championship at?
We don't know yet. It's gonna be pretty cool. So we don't know. So
that is exciting. Do they have a date set for it?
I think they do, but I gotta look. I'm not sure. I want to say it's sometime in like March, but
nice, smart.
I'm not sure. But yeah, the cool thing about Saginaw is we don't even have a boundary. So we can go anywhere on Lake Huron. Our loft limits is the St. Clair River.
That is a haul.
There ain't no way I can make it there, but I like that we have options. We don't have to stay in Saginaw. So
yeah, if somebody runs through St. Clair River, man, bless their soul, because that is a big lake.
Huge lake.
Good gosh.
Treacherous lake. Yeah, it's going to be.
All the Great Lakes are. You just got to take your time. That's all it is, as soon as that wind blows a little bit. But let's get to it, right? Jackall released a new sweet spoon, and, there's been probably hundreds of spoons that have been released on the market throughout the years. What is the Jackall counterback spoon? And to take it one step further, what makes it different? So what are some of the key design elements that make it different from everything else that's been released on the market?
Yeah, for sure. I've got 2 of them right here. Spoon was probably the first lure ever invented, to be honest with you. It goes back a long way. It's kind of cool with forward-facing sonar. With all this technology, some of the lures that we're using the most are kind of old school stuff, like a jig head minnow, a piece of metal, and hair jig on a ball head. So it's kind of cool to kind of go back, but we're making this spoon with a lot of new technologies in it. The main difference of this spoon based on other spoons is its ability to backslide. And so what that is you're able to keep the bait in the strike zone longer, because whenever you pull it, it actually slides backwards. So if this bait lands at, say, 50 feet on live scope, and say it's about 23 foot deep, it'll hit 70 feet away by the time it hits the bottom. So it excels whenever you're fishing boat docks, like flipping it around the shade lines. That's a big thing over in the Ozark region, but, it really works across the country. But I really like it for fishing brush piles. You're able to throw it past the pile, pull it up, get those fish's attention, and keep them away from the boat. The hardest thing with live scope is you want to keep them away from the boat as long as possible. The closer they are, kind of your bite window really goes down. So keeping them away from the boat is a really big thing. And the asymmetrical shape, it's not an even spoon. It's wider at the end. It's got a really cool curvature to it. I'm trying to see.
There it is.
Yep, right there. So it has a really cool curvature. It's asymmetrical. It's not even, and it allows the spoon to really backslide. And it's a really cool size too, because it's not too big, but it weighs heavy enough to make a bomb cast. Believe it or not, it's got a really deep cupping, and you'd think that would deter the castability of it, but it actually casts a lot straighter than a lot of other spoons, so it makes it really good for scoping, and it's a very controlled fall. And it falls pretty quickly too, so it's able to make those fish react. So that's what I really like about it.
Oh, that color's sweet. And before we get
Yeah.
into the colors, what is the length? Is there different sizes to the spoon? You know, some companies will have different sizes.
Yeah, so right now we've just got a 4.7 inch, and then it's going to weigh 1.3 ounces. So it's actually a pretty hefty spoon, but it's still that pretty compact 4.5 inch size, just under 5 inches, and it's going to be a really good player. Just it mimics gizzards, but it also mimics a lot of those bigger throatfin and blueback herring where the lakes I'm fishing.
Love it.
So
So I might kind of get like sciencey on it, and I hope that
yeah,
you have the information that I'm looking for here. But like,
me too.
how does the weight distribution of the counterback spoon affect it? You're talking about the spoon bill, like in the cupping on it. Is like the weight more in the rear of the spoon to make it backslide, or is
Yeah,
it just really
I
like the
believe it's
aerodynamics of it?
I believe it's the aerodynamics, but there definitely seems to be a little bit thickness towards the back half of the spoon, which allows it to slide backwards. But all in all, it's a very minimal difference in I'm trying to say thickness, I guess. But it's really just the curvature of the spoon that makes it slide.
Got it. So it really grabs the water and runs.
It
So
does, yeah.
when you're fishing it, like, so you're lined up on your brush pile, right? So how would you fish the counterback spoon? Like, kind of walk us through the cast for us.
So I always like to cast past the pile. Believe it or not, most places you want to be a little bit quieter with your lure landing. On herring lake, it's completely different. You want to make commotion because you want to get those fish's attention. They're always looking up. So I'll purposely kind of throw a high cast to let it hit the
Lobber.
water and like plop on the pile. And I usually like to go just a little bit past the pile. The fish are always sitting the same direction usually in a pile, and it's based on like the sun and the wind and everything. They're all facing one way. But when I'm running 50 to 75 brush piles in a day, I don't know which way they're facing when I first go. So I like to make a big long cast, usually at least 80 feet away, and make sure it plops and get those fish's attention past the pile. And then I like to let it fall. Most of the time, they'll hear that plop and they'll come flying away from as far as 25, 30 feet and come up and eat the spoon on the fall. That's what you want to happen. That doesn't always happen, though. And then you're going to have to just rip it up a couple times. I like to reel this spoon really quick and then let it throw it slack and it'll just slide back into their face. And that'll get them.
Do you like open the bail too?
I do from time to time. It really just depends on the whatever position I'm in. What you don't want to do is click your bail and then go to jack it and then you get a backlash. So
yeah, that's fair.
That happens. Yeah, it happens from time. So you don't want to do that, but that's mainly the retrieve is just snapping it like a normal spoon or reeling it almost like a hair jig, like stop and go. And you just want to kind of get it's almost like a cat and mouse game. If you try to keep it away from them, spotted bass are really fast, and any bass is really fast, smallmouth, largemouth, they're going to catch up with it. So I try to just keep it away from them, and that's ends up being the best for me. So, and one thing I played with today, which I want to go get a little more in depth, is I would throw it over the pile, and I would engage my reel before it hit the water, and I would reel it on top of the water, almost like a skipping
top water.
Yeah, and then they would all get up underneath it, and I'd kill it and flutter back on their face, and they would eat it that way. They either ran away or they ate it. So you have to play with it a little bit. So
I'm sure that made them infuriated. They're like, why is there one herring above my head? I need to eat that now.
Exactly. And then right now too, like on a lot of our lakes, we're getting a lot of pressure with all the brush piles and everything. So they're moving out to a lot of the deeper timber edge. So on Lanier, they cleared the timber at 40 feet deep, but there's some patches that they missed. So if you can find a patch of timber that's maybe in 30, it comes up to maybe 25, that's what you're looking for. And those are those big onesie twosies, And typically with spoon fishing, you want to find a group of fish, but sometimes fishing those timber, I'm able to get a lot of bites on that spoon. I don't know what it is about it, but typically it's a situation where you want a lot of fish competing over the bait. But with this bait, I'm able to even attack those onesie twosies in the timber. So it's pretty cool.
Got it. So with the counterback spoon, usually when you see spoons, they're going to be like silver, golds, and some like random erotic paint scheme, right?
Yeah.
So like, how many color options are there, and maybe lay out there what your favorite or the best color options are that you have found so far?
Yeah. So I think this one right here is just classical Japanese bait. It's kind of a weird name, but it's just your standard white spoon. It's got a really cool eye at the bottom of it. I'm not sure if you can see it there. Let's see.
Yep.
Right there. Just kind of a cool white scheme. It's got some blue markings on it also. I really like that one on those cloudier days. And then I really like bluegill. You don't really think of a bluegill color in a spoon, but for herring, they're like more of an olive color when they're alive and thriving. And then that nice chrome. And then, like you follow where I fish a bunch too. That's a really big player is just offshore bluegill beds. That's going to be a really big one for me.
And then fish is great in the sun.
Oh yeah, they look beautiful, to be honest with you. And then another one is just Japan shad. That's probably like the best overall color to go catch them. This is a spoon I've been throwing for quite some time now, but it's been available in the Japanese market that just now came over here to the U.S. So some of the color schemes that I've been throwing are a little bit different than the ones that we brought over, but we got some cool, U.S. based colors that are going to be really cool. Like we've got a gold for the Florida guys. Lake Seminole, that's going to be a really big player. Like Gunnersville, they love gold. So,
if you don't mind, they do have them on Omnia here. So just so the folks have an idea of what some of these colors look like, I'm going to throw it up here on the screen real fast. And that's the Japan shad you're talking about, correct?
Yeah, that's a really cool one. I like that one. It looks just like a blueback. It's got that olive kind of green back. Yeah. It's got a little bit of blue, and then it's chrome, and on these herring lakes, if it ain't chrome, leave it at home. That's what they say. So
fair enough.
Yeah, so it's a sweet bait, and it's actually designed by Koya Fujita.
Of course.
And,
there it is, Koya Wagasaki. Now,
yeah,
that purple,
sure.
Yeah, that's
a sweet color, yeah.
And then you have Stealth. Go ahead.
Yeah, just it's a really well built spoon. It's very unique. It's something that's completely different, and it's just you're able to control the flutter a lot more. Like when I was going back to the timber fish, some of that timber is super deep, and it's hard to get a flutter spoon to. The beauty of a flutter spoon is it's really erratic and it does whatever, but it's hard to control it and hit it accurately at literally a skinny little pine tree that's deep down and 40 foot of water. So helps you be more accurate with it. It's a scope and spoon for sure.
That's good. I was going to ask you. So it's more of like a streamlined.
It definitely
flutter
is,
as opposed to like when you kill it, it kind of goes all over the place. And
yeah.
So are you finding less issues with it fouling up? Because a lot of spoons foul up, correct?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like the holy grail of spoon fishing is you like the nickel spoon is a great spoon. It's like the megabass jerkbait of spoons. There's a time and place for that for sure, but this one, it's more controlled fall is what I would say. It's the deal for sure for hitting singles and groups of fish, being accurate. We were talking about some like oddball places before the show started, like those buoy fish, that get to almost tie ups, marina dock fish. It's going to be a great one for that. Just being able to slide it back in.
Yeah, like and being able floating docks in the Ozarks.
Yeah, big. Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. It's going to be a really unique one. We go to Ozarks later this year, so I'm hoping that maybe I have one or two of these tied on.
Oh, fantastic. All right, so talking about how to fish it and the best colors, like what is your overall setup? Like, I'm assuming it's casting gear.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going back and forth. We have a large, if anyone's seen the Poison Adrenas in the past, there's a 7.4 heavy. It's an LMBR, so it stands for large moving bait rod. So it was actually designed.
One more time.
LMBR is the name. It's a 7.4 LMBR. It stands for large moving bait rod. It's actually designed for throwing a tiny class around cover in Japan. But I like that 7.4 because it isn't a huge spoon. I'm able to control my snaps. And that's another rod that just came out at ICAST is the revamped Poison Adrena. That's what I've been really liking, or a 7.6 medium heavy Expert IB. So I go back and forth with it. I kind of like that smaller rod for it. That's kind of what I've been leaning to is that Jackall rod. But you always want to experiment with different rods and everything. And then as far as line goes, it's 18-pound Shimano Mastiff. And then my reel is just a Shimano Metanium or Bantam and an XG, which is the fast 8-year ratio.
Nice. I'm typing this all up so I can put it in our notes so I don't forget what they are. Metanium and Bantam. As I'm saying that as we're recording. All right. So, we're fishing it. Like, is there any specific tips that you can give that will help our listeners get more bites if they decide to pick up the counterback spoon?
Yeah, slack's a big deal on your line. You want to make sure that you have, enough slack to let the spoon be natural in the water. You want that natural flow, that natural backslide, that natural flutter. So having tension on your line kind of impedes that action. So I would make sure to have plenty of slack, but you don't want too much slack because you want to be able to detect your bites, especially for the guys that are not using live scope. Using live scope, make sure, they'll get all over it. Like there were several times today where like, he's definitely got it. And you go to snap it and he doesn't have it. I would do that. And then I like to use, sometimes I like to add trailer hooks and that kind of stuff just because they're going to be all over it. And then they're going to hit it, whether it be the front or the back. So typically with trailer hooks, I tie my own on there with braid. I just use a Ryugi Talisman, usually a 2 or 3 aught hook. It's almost like a circle hook, not a circle hook, but a drop shot hook. And
so a single shanked hook as opposed to like double treble.
Yeah, for sure. I've drilled holes in spoons in the past and added them. There's some spoons that like it. I'm not going to do it on this spoon just because I don't want to impart that. It already has great action. I don't want to. You always get tangled up when you add those things, and it seems like those 2 just single hooks have been the best thing for me. So
perfect. All right, I want to hear about your favorite fish catch with the counterback spoon because I think that's something everyone would want to hear.
For sure, yeah. I think it was one of the first couple of days that I got the U.S. colors in, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go try to film some stuff for iCast, and was out on Lanier with my buddy. And it was so hot, and we literally were just, let's jump in, let's go swimming. So we went and swam for a little bit. I was like, okay, fine. I got to finally get some footage on this thing. And first pile we stood up onto, soaking wet, got like a 4.5 pounder on it. So that was pretty cool. But I've caught a bunch of the ones that I've caught on it have all been 3.5 to 4 pounders on it. So it's definitely a big fish bait. So
quantity for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's not something to go get a bunch of bites on right now, but it's something to go catch quality for sure.
And then, do you have an overall, I know you sent me a photo of the bluegills. The bluegill, would you say your favorite color right now?
I like the bluegill a lot just because you can, Lake Eufaula is more of like a true southern, it's got bluegill offshore. It's got shad in it and gizzards and everything, but they eat primarily bluegill offshore, which is kind of a cool thing. And then I threw the bluegill one a little bit while I was there, but I caught them on one of the Japanese colors when I was down there a couple weeks ago. But I think so. That or the Japan bait. The Japan bait is kind of sweet. I think that's, if anyone's going to just go get one and they want to try one color, I would say the Japan bait for sure.
Fair enough. Like that. So is there any upgrades that you would do to the terminal tackle?
Yeah. So the spoon itself comes with some pretty good hooks on them. I believe they're BKK right out of the pack. And kind of a cool thing is you see that it's just a band right there. It's not even tied, but it keeps it really in place, that tensile. I like to tie my own tensile on there or use something similar, but I use a Ryugi 4. I believe it's a size 4, just Pierce. That's what I've been kind of upgrading them to and just tying some stuff on there. It's either 4 or 3. I can't remember, but it's a solid, good size hook. I want to say it's 3, maybe. I think it's a little bigger than a 4. I'll have to check up on that one.
Yeah, no worries. I just figured I would ask. So before we cut you loose here, Jake, is there anything else that you feel like we should touch on for our viewers to know about the Jackall counterback spoon?
I mean, it's just a great spoon just for, like I said, a lot of different applications and everything. One of the cool things, though, is you better go to Omnia and go buy some or go to your local tackle shop and buy them because my local shop, Hammond's, They're already sold out of three of the 6 colors. So, and they've been there for 2 days.
Oh gosh.
Made a post about them and they sold. So, yeah, go get them while you can for sure. Cause I don't know when the next shipment will be. So
yeah, it's the only thing that stinks about some of that JDM stuff that's starting to come into the U.S. domestic market is sometimes it takes a little bit to get them restocked.
For sure. And the cool thing about Jackall is they're not afraid to try different stuff. And like the Jackall riser is a really good bait. You know, that took a lot of time to catch on really. And I don't think that's going to be the case with this spoon though. I think they're going to sell out really quick. So they make some really, really cool stuff. So fingers crossed you guys can get them. So
yeah, my fingers are crossed for them too. I want to get some to try on some smallmouth.
I think it'd be legit. I'm trying to think like maybe those buoys on Champlain, like where they're all tied up, or those marina docks like we were talking about earlier are going to be like some really like non-typical spoon areas that probably be pretty insane.
Yeah, I've got a big flat that they get on before they get in a wintering hole, like late October through December, that we get like a little stamp spoon bite going on.
Yeah.
I wonder if we can get a bigger bite with like a Flutter spoon type.
I think so. Keep me updated. I want to see that.
Yeah, I will do my best. So
deal. Yeah.
No promises. Usually once I get keyed in on something, I stay on it until they stop biting because you just never know how many days you're going to get once
exactly
the middle of October comes. So, but Jake, I want to say thank you again for joining us here. Best of luck the rest of the NPFL season. If you're bored after Saginaw, slide over to Buffalo. If I'm around, we'll go out.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely will. I need to get out that way. I want to experience or expand my smallmouth horizons. So
yeah, there's too much of it. I mean, you don't even have to leave the state of Michigan. You can basically go to any pond and catch big smallmouth.
That's cool.
It's kind of crazy, but
it is. Yeah. For
So,
sure. I'm ready to get up north. It's kind of hot down here. So
it's hot here too. So
okay.
we've had a few days in the 90s with 100% humidity. So it's
okay. Never mind then. Yeah. Never mind then. Okay.
But when is that tournament? In like
it's we're last week of August, first week of September, I think. So I think we start. Yeah, it should be starting to. From what I've seen and everything, it should be a lot better than we went there in college, and it was I think in June.
June's toasty.
June was toasty. It was. I mean, the ride up there we stayed pretty cool because of big old waves and everything. But I think I top 10 or 11th in that tournament and caught a largemouth. But I don't know if that's going to be the case this time around. But I'm a little bit better at smallmouth fishing than I was in college, so I know my way around a spin piece now.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
so you have enough line to hit the bottom at 40 feet of water.
Yeah, exactly. So Lanier kind of forces you to do that a little bit, stare at a screen. So feel a little bit more comfortable doing that now. So
that's good, man. So, all right. Well, thanks, Jake. I'm going to let you go now. And I appreciate it. And we'll chat soon, buddy.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Have a good day.
See ya. You too.
Bye now. Bye. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for tuning into this week's episode here on the Lure Lab. As always, links are down below. All linked over to Omnia. Type in Serious 10 at checkout. Save yourself 10%. If you're new here on the YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and leave a comment down below if you love spoon fishing or if you're going to go pick up the new Jackall counterback spoon over at our friends at Omnia. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform and it allows you to leave a review, please do so. We greatly appreciate it. It allows us bass fishing podcasts to be seen by everyone else who loves bass fishing. But until next week, we got some more awesome episodes coming for you guys. So stay tuned for next Saturday's episode, and we will see you then.